Very good noon to the audience also. Today's topic is the save limbs and the save lives. Myself is Dr. Krunal Gohil. I'm a peripheral vascular endovascular surgeon. As I'm glad that now the peripheral vascular surgery is becoming very popular for the limb-related issues in the town. So the patients what we come across is mainly with the limb ischemia, the varicose vein, the deep vein thrombosis patients, the non-healing ulcers like chronic diabetic ulcers or venous ulcers or the vasculitic ulcers. Many idiopathic lower limb pain patients in whom we have already ruled out the other causes for pain, they also come to us to rule out the arterial or the venous pathological pain in the limb. Also with the lymphedema, and also we deal with the complex AV fistulas and the fistula salvage procedure. So it's not only about the limb, we also do all the arterial and the venous work in the body. We just don't touch the heart and the brain. So apart from there, we treat them with the open surgery also, as well as the endovascular peripheral angiogram, angioplasty stenting also. And we also give the best possible medical management for the same. If we talk about the limb salvage, mainly we come across the arterial system in our body, and whenever we get any blockage or narrowing in the supplying vessel, we develop the symptoms regarding the same. So there is a very huge burden in the global right now. 236 millions of patients, they are suffering with the peripheral arterial diseases. So mainly we come across with the claudication patient. So the claudication, it may gradually progress once the artery gets occluded, and they may develop a critical limb ischemia, and they may lose their limb gradually if we don't treat or intervene immediately. So these are the risk patients who are having the other risk factors along with the PAD like diabetes, hypertension, or if they are having a smoking or tobacco chewing along with the same. So what kind of symptoms we'll notice? The most common is the claudication. The claudication is the pain in the limb while walking a certain distance, and that distance is known as the claudication distance, and it is very important to note that distance and see the course of the disease. It gets relieved on taking rest for a while, like 5 to 10 minutes. If patient stop walking, it will get relieved, the pain will get relieved. So it's a typical claudication with the arterial system what we notice. And once patient starts walking again, it will reappear in the same muscles of the limb. So the site will differ according to the level of the blockage. If it is higher into the iliac artery, the whole limb will develop a claudication. It may be a thigh or the calf or the foot also. The lower down the blockage, the symptom will appear in the calf or into the foot. So the clinical evaluation will definitely will give us some idea regarding the level of blockage also. So how to evaluate such patients? The most important key is the pulse. So as we know, as a physician, we always check the radial artery pulse, right? So for the limb, in the lower limb, we used to check the dorsalis pedis artery pulse. So it is very easier to palpate it across the first MTP bone. We check the dorsalis pedis artery pulse. It is also important to see the higher pulse if we are not getting the distal pulses. So the second easier side is the femoral artery pulse in the groin at the mid-inguinal ligament point. Popliteal artery, it is a bit tricky in the obese patient to check, but these two sides we should not miss. We should also look for the clinical signs of ischemia. Like a chronic ischemic patients, they may have a thin limb. There is a discrepancy in the girth of the limb. They may have thin skin with the brittle nails and loss of hair. So these are the few other clinical signs of ischemia in the limb, what we should look for. As a vascular surgeon, we always check ABI. ABI is the ankle brachial index. So it is the difference between the pressure of the limb, of the upper limb and the lower limb arteries. So this thing we check specifically with our hand Doppler machine, and it is very accurate tool to check the PAD and also the severity of PAD. So once we confirm that patient may have the peripheral arterial disease in the limb, then we should go for the basic investigation. Along with the blood report, we should do an arterial Doppler test to exactly locate the site of disease. There are some other advanced imagination also, like CT and MR angiography, which is now very well available in each and every town also. Especially, I would like to mention here that you should not miss this two pathology for the peripheral arterial disease, which are having a very high chances of limb loss. So one is the acute limb ischemia, which is also very commonly known as a limb attack. We should check the pulse. We should check the patient's symptoms. If it's an acute sudden onset of pain in the limb, along with the other signs like absence of pulse, it's pallor, paresthesia, any discoloration, or poikilothermia. So poikilothermia is the term what we use when our limb changes the temperature of the skin according to the room environment. So if you cover such limb and you put a warmer, it will become warm. So it doesn't mean that the blood supply has improved. Okay, so if it's if you put it into the colder or AC environment, it will become again cold. So it is known as a poikilothermia, which is very important sign. So we have seen many times that if patient's temperature is decreased, then somebody put it into some kambal, or they will put some warmer in the limb and they will just check the temperature again. So it will improve, but it doesn't mean the revascularization has occurred. The second modality is a critical limb ischemia. So it is the advanced stage of peripheral arterial diseases. Routinely, we find this thing whenever there is a dual level blockage. So if the occlusion is long, or if patient is having arterial disease in more than one territory, then patient will start developing a critical limb ischemia. Such patient, they have pain at rest. So rest pain is the pain when patient doesn't get relief even with the adequate analgesic. And we call it a rest pain when patient is continues having pain with the disturbed sleep even for a continuous for a 1 week or so. So then it is called as a very critical limb ischemia, and also with the foot ulcer or minor or major gangrenous changes in the foot. The another thing what we should not miss in the clinical evaluation is the other arterial system in the body. As we all know that all peripheral arterial diseases, they may associated with the coronary artery disease also, or with the cerebrovascular incidents also in the past. So all these past history is very important to evaluate. One point I want to mention here regarding the arterial Doppler report reading. So we have seen many arterial Doppler in our practices. Very few of them are very genuine and like appreciable. So they just mention some few words in the report, and it is always confusing for us. So these words are like thrombosis. Like the thrombosis, we need to know the age of the thrombus. So it is very important, and we should correlate it with the symptom of the patient. So if they have mentioned it's an echogenic thrombus and the dilated artery in the report, then it's an acute limb ischemia, and we should intervene it immediately as soon as possible. The second common thing what they mention in the report is the diffuse atherosclerotic disease in the limb artery. So diffuse atherosclerotic disease, then we should ask them specifically whether it is flow limiting or not. If it is flow limiting, then there will be a velocity difference in the different territory of the limb artery, and we should ask for the waveform pattern in the limb, the leg artery, that is the tibial arteries. If it's a dampened monophasic wave pattern, then it's definitely a worrisome record for the patient. Then comes the stenosis, narrowing, or the plaque, right? So we should know that what level the plaque is, what is the exact velocity difference between the pre-plaque area and the post-plaque region. So it will give us that how significant that narrowing is affecting the distal perfusion. The fourth thing is the calcification. So calcification, if they label, that means the patient is having an already established peripheral arterial disease from a long time. So it may be a chronic disease. The fifth thing is the difficult to comment on the iliac artery status. So very obese patients, it is very difficult to comment on the iliac artery lesion. So whenever clinically we think that the femoral artery pulse is weaker compared to the opposite limb, definitely we should advise for the CT angiography. So these are the few dilemmatic points what I needed to discuss. Then comes the management part. So how we should manage the peripheral arterial diseases. So coming to the chart, the first point is the asymptomatic patient, but we feel clinically that there is an absent or reduced pulse in the limb. So we should do a risk factor management and exercise, and we can put them on a base medical management. The second thing is the intermittent claudication. That patient is already become a symptomatic with the absent or reduced pulse. So we can start with the medication and supervised structured exercise, and we can observe them. If they don't improve, then we can refer them to the vascular surgery for the further management. The critical limb ischemia and along with the diabetes, they are at very high risk of developing and gangrenous changes into the foot and limb loss. So such patient definitely should be managed with a vascular team. So these are the risk factors which are commonly associated with any atherosclerotic disease in our body. These are the diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, tobacco, age, chronic kidney disease, and obesity. So few of them we can control, few of them we can reverse, and age we can't control also. So this factor should manage well along with the peripheral arterial diseases. Coming to the best medical management, the question comes: what should we start if we diagnose that patient is having peripheral arterial disease? The first come is the antiplatelet in our mind. I have seen many patients being prescribed a dual antiplatelet directly, and so there is a dilemma whether we should start with the dual or we should start with the single antiplatelet. So our answer is the single antiplatelet is the choice unless indicated for the coronary artery disease or other system diseases associated. Second comes the statins. It's a really good drug to stabilize the plaque and it's having a pleiotropic action also. The third thing is the structured exercise. So ask your patient to keep walking. Don't stop because of pain. Then ask him to walk till the peak of pain he reaches and gradually increase the distance of walking. It will definitely help the muscles to adapt the low vascularity of the blood and it will increase the claudication distance also. The fourth thing I really want to mention is the therapeutic anticoagulation. We have seen many patients being put on LMWH for a while to increase the vascularity. Believe me, it doesn't help into a chronic limb ischemia. The anticoagulation, LMWH or any oral anticoagulation drugs, they are only working into the acute thrombotic event or they are made for the post-operative prevention of thrombus, that's all. So we should not start as a prophylactic or anything therapeutic anticoagulation in such patients. So coming to the newer approach, which is recently been introduced, is the rivaroxaban 2.5 milligram along with the single antiplatelet. So how it works? We all know that atherosclerotic plaque rupture and secondary thrombus formation over the plaque is the cause for the developing limb ischemia or any organ ischemia like into heart also. So this dual modality attacks on both the pathways. So one pathway, once the atherosclerotic plaque ruptures, the platelet coagulation cascade will activate and the platelet aggregation will start. That we can prevent with the ecosprin. And the second thing is the coagulation, the fibrin and the clot formation that this rivaroxaban factor 10 inhibitor that avoids. And the data like COMPASS trial or the Voyager trial, they both have studied that it reduces the major adverse cardiac event also as well as the major adverse limb event also. So coming to a point when to manage such patient conservatively, how to salvage the limb. So if patient is having early symptomatic claudication, the radiology report of arterial Doppler show a very short segment lesion. If the patient is very morbid, very sick, then we should start the conservative management for such patient. The intervention comes when patient is having pain at rest. If he is already having established pregangrenous changes in the foot, the radiology report is showing a multi-level long occlusions or any occlusion above the groin level into the iliac artery or aorta, we should intervene. So why to save limbs and save lives? Does preventing amputation reduces mortality rate or not? So data is showing there is no difference in mortality rate. If we are treating any morbid, very high risk patient with multiple morbidity like CV disease or renal dysfunction, immobile patient, and we try to save those limbs with any surgical intervention, it is not going to help in reducing the mortality. So such patient should be salvaged in a time with the amputation. Yes, with the amputation. So if you see the data, the first year, third year and 5 year mortality rate is same in both the cases if patient is very sick. So don't entertain limb salvage in such patient. So when to salvage the limb and save the life? So if patient's mobility status is the key. If patient is mobile pre-procedure, we should salvage the limb and make him mobile again immediately in post-procedure. Definitely this will reduce the mortality in your patient. The CLI patients with controlled risk factors, we can offer them the endovascular minimal invasive procedure. Some patient in which the endovascular alone is not effective, we combine it with the open procedure under local anesthesia. And such thing will reduce the anesthesia stress also and hospital stay also. Yes, this thing will also reduce the mortality in our patient and continue the risk factor modification after treating such patient with the best medical treatment. So these are the 4 key points which will reduce the mortality after saving the limbs. These are the few patients what we treated with the revascularization. You can see the gangrene was progressing but we have revascularized. He was a 70-year-old male. We did the tibial angioplasty in the case, and we can see the result with a good healing of the wound. The another case, which was having a non-healing wound since a long for a month, he became immobile, but he wants to walk. So we did a popliteal and tibial artery angioplasty, and wound got healed within a couple of months. And we can see the achievement what we have. A patient starts walking on his leg. So these are the old geriatric patient who still loves to walk, and we ask them to keep walking. So the take home message is save salvageable critical limb ischemia and dying limbs like acute limb ischemia to save lives. Ampute the troubling dead limb at appropriate level to save lives too. Thank you.